Assalamu alaikum, students. Today we are going to talk about functions, and this is a very quick revision on functions from paper 4. I have actually selected more than 10 questions to work on functions. If you will go through with all these function questions, I think everything which comes in IGCSE related to functions can be practiced rigorously. Okay, guys, so let's start. The very first question, he gave you a linear function, a quadratic function, and an exponential function. So the very first question normally examiner asks you regarding the functions. He provides you the input. He provides you the input and asking you what is the output. So very simple. My output will be I need to plug in the place of x 3 here and 3 here. So minus 3. So what I'm going to get 3 multiplied with minus 3 minus 2, and this gives me minus 11. So minus 11 is my output. So what did you see, guys? I had f of minus 3 and it gave me minus 11. F of minus 3 was my input, and minus 11 was my output. I can also write this statement in another way. Sometimes examiner writes x is equal to f inverse of 11. Inverse f of 11 it is, and he asks you what is x. So what we need to do, we need to send the f inverse to this side and write it as f of x is equals to 11. And then in the place of f of x, because this is the output, what is f of x equals to? It is equals to 3x minus 2 is equal to 11. And then we will try to get the value of x. So if examiner gives you input, you can find output according to the definition of the function. So as what we discussed, he gave the same type of a question in the B part. Over there, he said f of x is equal to 19. So what I'm going to say that output is given, and he is asking you what is the input. Now, how f of x is defined? Your f of x is defined as 3x minus 2 is equal to 19. So I want to get my input, which is my x. So solve this linear equation. We can easily solve this linear equation by making x as a subject. So 3x is equals to 19 plus 2, which is 21. And then x is equal to 21 divided by 3, which is 7. So x is equal to 7. Again, I got 7. So f of 7 is equal to 19. If you want to check, you can plug 7 into the definition of a function. 3 times 7 is 21. 21 minus 2 is 19. So both of them, agree with the statement. Yani 7 input and 19 output. You can also write it as 7 is equal to f inverse of 19. Anyways, we are done. The two types, first part in which the guy provided you the input and asking you what is the output, and in the second part B, you saw that he gave you the output and we found the input. Now let's move on to the C part. Oh, when we write C part, we see the two functions together and they are applied on the input too. Such type of functions, it's not a multiplication of function, that is a special type of arrangement in which what we need to do, we need to find h of 2 first. Once I get the answer of h of 2, then I have to apply the f function on h of 2 to get the desired result. So to start it with, I have to do I have to do h of 2 first. Now, how my h function is defined, as I told you, h function is an exponential function, which is 3 raised per x. So can you check in the place of x, what do we have? We have 2. So we have to place here 2. I'm going to write h of 2 is equal to 3 raised per 2, which is 9. So after working on h of 2, because he gave me f of h of 2, and h of 2 is equal to 9, I'm going to replace h of 2. I'm going to replace h of 2 with 9. Now, how the f function is defined, your input is 9. My f function, as you can see, is 3x minus 2. And in the place of x, I'm going to write, in the place of x, I'm going to write 9. So minus 2, 27 minus 2, which is 25. So the composition of f of h of 2, it is 25. Clear, boys? So now we got to go to the D part. Try to understand the language of the question. He said f g of f of x, yani the composition of g and f, then plus f function, and then simple x. So, in other words, is it an equation? No, it's not an equation. We want to simplify whatever the algebraic expression forms after working on g of f of x and f of x, and then we added them together. We want to see what the final expression of x comes in front of us. So first we focus on g of f of x. So as you guys can see, g of f of x, like in the previous one, when you apply the composition, you have to see what is your f of x. Your f of x is 3x minus 2. So in place of f of x, we write 3x minus 2. Now, how do you define your g function? Your g of x function is x squared. And g of x is x squared. So if in the place of x, if you have 3x minus 2, how will we define it? We define it as 3x minus 2 whole squared. Yani, if I write my input x, the definition of g is input square. If my input is under g is 3x minus 2, then I will have to write 3x minus 2 whole squared. Now, I need to open the brackets. As you see, there is a square on the top, so the same bracket will be multiplied 2 times. Now 3x times 3x is 9x squared, then 3x times minus 2 is minus 6x, and minus 2 times 3x gives you minus 6x, and then minus 2 multiplied with minus 2 finally to give you 4. Now further simplification of minus 6x and minus 6x, it gives us minus 12x, and then copy plus 4. So in other words, we simplified this thing. It's done. Now I think we can write all the three terms. So g of f of x came to us 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. Then our f of x is defined as 3x minus 2. Then the guy has written x. Look, this yellow one is what? This is g of f of x. This green one is what? Which is f of x. And the last one is what? The simple x. So I write g of f of x in front of you boys. And then I write f of x. And then we have x. Now, can we simplify this expression? Obviously, we can simplify it. There is only one 9x squared in the whole expression. We copy it as it is. Now, how many x terms we have? Minus 12x plus 3x will give you minus 9x, and minus 9x plus x will give you what? Minus 8x. And then we have plus 4 minus 2 will give you plus 2. So we got the final quadratic expression, which tells you the simplification of the three term expression which is given in the question. So it has 3 marks. Now come to the third part, guys. F inverse. Didn't I tell you that when I write F inverse of something, it means you are working on the output? And this is your x, correct? And how do we find f inverse? The rule is you always write let y is equals to what? How do you define your f of x? It is defined as 3x minus 2. So 3x minus 2. Now try to make x as a subject. Now y plus 2 is equals to 3x. Now y plus 2 divided by 3 is equals to x. Now this thing which is formed on the left hand side is an expression for f inverse of y. Since we have y here and over here we have x, one additional thing you have to do, replace the y by x because we have here x. If it is y, then I should have written here y. So x plus 2 over 3. That's the inverse function of original f of x function. Now I will move fast. Question number 2, because all the types have been explained it to you very well. First, see your function. F of x is a linear function, and g of x is a reciprocal function or rational functions. We have some expression of x in the denominator, and you guys can see also he has written x is not equal to 3. It's a mandatory thing when I defined any function, and that function is having some denominator, because guys, you remember that in mathematics the denominator cannot be 0. If you write any number here 4 over 0 in a calculator, the calculator will say that it is not possible because it's infinite, it's a very big number. So that's why, to avoid any confusion that a student thinks like, okay, x can assume any value, so and among those values x is equal to 3 is also possible. When you put it here, so 3 minus 3 gives you 0, so 4 over 0 is infinity. So examiner says that you can put any value of x but not 3. Otherwise, in the whole question it will not participate. You just need to focus that how the g function is defined. Now number 1 is the composition of f of g. So what we need to do, guys, first we need to find g of 1. So g of 1, how the function g defined, g of x. So g of 1 will be 4 over 1 minus 3. So 4 over minus 2, and the answer is minus 2. So once you find g of 1, which is minus 2, now f will be applied on this minus 2, and the linear function of f, in the place of x I put minus 2, and then I see what is the final answer comes to us, that is minus 3. Now guys, next is again a g of f of x. The previous one, you can say that, Mr. Omar, in f of g of 1, we wanted to get a numerical value, and he gave you 1 as an input, then your composition of function applied on 1 and gives you the final output minus 3. However, in the second question again we have composition, but we are not applying on 1, we are applying on x. So as per the same routine, we try to evaluate our f of x. So what is our f of x, guys? our f of x is 5x plus 7. Now, how our g function is defined? Our g function is defined as 4 over x minus 3. Now, you need to delete x. Why I will delete x? Because in the place of x, you need to copy the whole statement. So this statement is 5x plus 7. So imagine if this is x, you write here x. But other than x, if it is 5x plus 7, you need to copy 5x plus 7 over there. Give the answer in a simplest form. So 4 over 5x plus 4. So we got another rational function, or a function in the reciprocals. 4 over 5x plus 4 is coming to us. Third thing, again, he's asking you inverse of g. So inverse of g, we always do let y equals, how the g function is defined. It is defined as 4 over x minus 3. Now, what the rule we discussed, we said that we always try to make x as a subject. Now, how can we sort it out and make x as a subject? We have to send the x minus 3 on the left hand side with cross multiplication, to avoid the fraction on the right hand side. So this x is going to multiply with y, gives you xy, and also this minus 3 multiply with y would give you minus 3y, and on the right hand side we get 4. What was our intention? Our intention was to make x as a subject. So if you want to make x as a subject, you need to kick all the terms to go on the other side. So what's the first thing? I have a minus 3y, and this minus 3y traveled on the right hand side. So xy is equal to 4 plus 3y. Are we done? No, we are not done, but still we have a y on the left hand side. Now, this y is multiplied here. So, what is the opposite of multiplication? The opposite operation of multiplication is division. So, I'm going to make x alone by sending the y which was multiplied, now it is divided. So are we done? Yes. So we found an expression of um, y, act by making x as a subject. So our f inverse of x is 4 plus 3x whole over x. Since we have x, we have the variables x. Beautiful question, guys. You can see sometimes the examiner, he gives you the expression like this, that inverse function is multiplying or is composite with f function. Idea is simple. Why we call inverse function? Because inverse will cancel the composition of the original function. So they will cancel each other. The input will stay as it is and becomes our output. So look, input and output are not changed, as f inverse and f, both of them cancel each other. This can come in the exam like this, f inverse of 2. No need to do any additional thing, just cancel f inverse and f and then get the answer. But keep it in your mind, if it is g and f inverse, you cannot cancel them. No, you can't. Then you have to find f inverse of 2 first, and then whatever the result comes, you will use it as an input of g, and then try to get the output of g accordingly. Anyways, so this is explained, and we got the output 2. He is giving you an equation by keeping f of x on the left hand side and g of x on the right hand side. He said that when you create an equation and you simplify it, it will come to you finally in the form of a quadratic equation. So let's check, guys, if it is f of x and this is g of x. What is my f of x given in the question? F of x was 5x plus 7. It is 5x plus 7. And what is my g of x function? It is given to me as 4 over x minus 3. 4 over x minus 3. Guys, again, you can take notice of this, that this bracket is actually in the denominator. When I shift it to the other side, it will be multiplied with 5x plus 7. So I'm going to write now 5x plus 7 multiplied with x minus 3. I need to keep the brackets on because brackets will ensure that which term is multiplying with which term. So every bracket has two terms. It's better to keep the brackets on. Now I'm going to multiply 5x with x, so it gives you 5x squared. Then 5x multiplied with negative 3 gives you negative 15x. And then I'm going to multiply 7 with x, it's 7x. And then we have here 7 multiplied with negative 3 gives you negative 21 is equal to 4. Are we there yet? No, we just need to simplify 5x squared. It gives us, and you can check that minus 15 plus 7 will give you, what is the answer? 5 and 3. So this is minus 8x, and 4 comes on the left hand side, gives you negative 25 equals to 0. Is it the same equation which I wanted to get? Match your work. 5x squared minus 8x minus 25. Yahoo. Now we, after finding this quadratic equation, there are two ways the examiner may ask you in the exam. He will ask you straightforwardly, solve this equation. Okay, we can use the calculator skills to find the two answers, the two roots. But if the examiner mentions here, show all of your working, and he's emphasizing on showing the work, but also he is telling you give your answers, the two roots of this equations as in two decimal places. So then it makes me feel that I have to use the quadratic formula. So quadratic formula, if you want to use, you need to identify the coefficients. So the coefficient of x squared, which is represented as a, I will write it as 5. So my b, the coefficient of x along with minus, it is, the b is minus 8. And the constant, which is without x, that is negative 25. Now, examiner will give you 1 mark if you write a correct formula. So the equation is quadratic in a variable x. I write here x. And the quadratic formula minus b plus minus. Under the radical sign, we write b squared minus 4ac whole divided by 2a. The next job is substitution. Okay, guys? So this is your b, and this is your a, and this is your c. So plug these values. If the value is negative, try to keep it in the bracket. After writing this, I will allow you to use your calculators, guys. So let me open my calculator. So in the calculator, you write fraction first, then minus, bracket open, negative 8, bracket close. Since there is plus and minus sign, so use one by one. I will write first plus and then write square root minus 8, bracket close, squared, minus 4, bracket open, 5 closed, bracket open, negative 25, bracket close, divided by 2, bracket open, and 5. Look, we inserted all the values into the formula and get the first answer. So it gives the answer in a surd form, yani in the form of a radical. So in the calculator, there is a key. You just press this, it converts automatically this surd form into the decimal form. So how many decimal places are required by the examiner? Two decimal places. So my answer will stop at 7. So I need to check what is after 7. 4. So 3.17 is my first answer. 3.17. In order to get the second answer, press the equal sign and press SD. It gives you the answer 3.17. Oh, no, no, I didn't change the sign, guys, here. So the plus has to be replaced by the minus. And now let me get another answer, which is minus 1.57. Minus 1.57. So I applied the quadratic formula to get the two answers or the two roots for this equation. So examiner may use algebra, how to solve the equations in functions as well in paper 4. If you see another question, f of x and g of x and the h of x, so f of x is a linear function, g of x is a quadratic function, and h of x is a exponential functions. So first one is fx minus 3. So he's just applying the definition of x. How f is defined? F is defined as f of x minus 1. So, but remove x. I will remove x, and in the place of x, under the brackets, I will write here x minus 3. Guys, you know that if it is x, I write here x, so 4x minus 1. But other than x, the guy has used x minus 3. So x minus 3 is my input. So to get my output, I have to place x minus 3 in the place of x. Now I'm going to simplify 4x minus 12 minus 1. So 4x minus 13. That's the final answer I'm getting. Next, g of 5 of x. So g of 5 of x, how the g function is defined? G function is defined as x squared. But what do you have? You have 5x. So I must have here 5x. So I'm going to write here 5x. But don't write the statement like this. You have to put the brackets on because this square is on 5 and also on x. So I will write 5 squared and x squared, and that gives you 25x squared, the final answer. F inverse or inverse f. How to find it? How the f is defined? F was a linear function. That was 4x minus 1. Now try to make x as a subject by sending every number which is on the right other than x on the left hand side. So y plus 1. We do the plus minus first before multiplication division in opposite operations. So 4 multiplied and the 4 divides. Now your x is alone. Whatever you get on the other side, that is the inverse function. But since we have here x, so your y should be replaced with x. So x plus 1 over 4 is your inverse function. Now h1 is a composition of h function twice. What's my h of 1? H of 1, if you look at, it is your h of x defined as 3 raised by negative x. So if in the place of x, I write 1, what I'm going to get? I will be getting 3 raised by minus 1. I will be getting 3 raised by minus 1. Now, again, if you apply h on h of 1, now this h of 1, as you have already found, it is equals to 3 raised by minus 1. So what was the definition of age? That was 3 raised power minus x. Now your x is this. So can I replace x by 3 raised power minus 1? Does it make sense? Let me explain you again. Basically, this is 3 raised power minus 1 is 1 over 3, because if the power is negative, you can write it like this by making the power positive. So it's 1 over 3. Now, someone says, can you apply h of 1 over 3? Yes, we can. The rule was 3 raised power minus x, and that is 1 over 3. Now, we need to write this thing in a calculator because the guy wants the answer into 4 significant figures. So I'll try to copy the same statement on the calculator screen, 3 raised to the power negative, and then I write a fraction 1 over 3 and get your answer like that. If my student says, no, Mr. Omar, I want to write here 3 raised to the power minus 1, I have no problem. You guys can write like this, like the previous thing which you got it. The same answer comes to you, 0.693. Okay, guys? Again, I want to tell you that if I want to write here 1 over 3, same thing, 0.6934, because we want to get our answer to the 4 significant figures. So 4 significant, this 0 is not significant. 1, 2, 3, 4. So after 3, what is Majud? 6. So this 3 will be raised by 1, 0.6934. So 0.6934 is the answer to the 4 significant figures. Now, interestingly, we have a d part, and in the d part, he said g of 3x minus 2 minus h of minus 3. So the two functions are applied on their different inputs, then we have to simplify them and try to get a quadratic expression. So first, we will apply g of 3x minus 2. How the g function was defined, that was simply input square. So what is my input? My input is 3x minus 2 whole squared, because g of input, the definition is input square. So if you have g of 3x minus 2, then you have to write 3x minus 2 square. Now, can we simplify it before we put it into the expression? So we write the same bracket 2 times, and now we multiply them together. It gives you 9x squared minus 6x minus 6x and plus 4. So we get 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. So wow, we have simplified this expression. Now h of minus 3. How h of minus 3 was defined? The rule was 3 raised to power minus x. So in the place of x, remember guys, the rule of h was 3 raised to power minus x. Whatever you write here, you have to copy it there. So if it is minus 3, I'm going to write here minus 3 as well. So this is 3 raised to power 3, because minus minus makes it plus, and 3 raised to power 3 from the calculator, you can get it 27. Now this one is also done. That is 27. So let me copy them. I'm gonna write g of, this is my g of 3x minus 2, which is 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. Then he writes a minus sign, and h of minus 3, we found it as 27. Can we simplify? So 9x squared minus 12x minus 27 plus 4, guys, it's minus 23. Is it matching with the thing I want to get? The answer is yes. We got the same expression, which was asked by the examiner to show. Now, as I told you in the last part, whenever we have any quadratic equation, it can be solved by factorization or by quadratic formula, or sometimes by completing the square. But here, examiner categorically asking you to use the quadratic formula. So you have to use quadratic formula, and the clue, if it was not told you to use quadratic formula, the clue was he said that you have to give the answer to the two decimal places. So the two decimal places tells you that you have to use a quadratic formula. So you, what are the coefficients? So a is equal to 9, b is equal to negative 12, and c is equal to negative 23. Now I'm going to insert these values into the quadratic formula, which is minus b squared minus 4ac whole over 2a. And now I'm going to write these values. X is equals to minus, this is minus 12 plus minus b squared minus 12 whole squared minus 4ac. My a is 9 and my c is minus 23 over 2 a 9. Now check on the calculator, boys. I can write the same expression. It may take a longer time since it is a quadratic equation, and I have shown all the important steps to the examiner. So I go to the mod. Some students have old calculator, they can use mod 53. I go to the polynomial and degree 2, enter all the coefficients, the 9, negative 12, and negative 23. The first answer we got it in a surd form. It's 2.39, and the guy said give the answer to the two decimal places. So 2.40. So 2.40 is the first answer. The second answer is minus 1.07 to the two decimal places. Next, E part, he said f of 61. F of 61, it is a linear function. How it is defined? F function was 3x minus, let me check, 4x minus 1. F function was 4x minus 1. In the place of x, I put 61. And h of x was defined as 3 raised by minus x. Now let me use my calculator to simplify the left-hand side. 4 bracket open 61 minus 1, it gives me 243. Very important thing I'm going to tell you now during the exam, how to solve it. So 243 is equal to 3 raised by minus x. There are many ways to solve this equation, because here on the left hand side he wrote x as a 3 as a power of minus x. So we want to write 243 also as a power of 3. So I want to know that which power of 3 gives you 243. So you can use trial and error. 3 raised to power 3 is how much? 3 raised to power 4 is how much? 3 raised to power 5 is how much? 243. So it is 3 raised to power 5. I can say that. It's 3 raised to power. It's 3 raised to power 5. When you do this thing, as per indices rules, if the bases are same, you can put the numerators equal to each other. You can say that your 5 is equal to negative x, or your x is equal to negative 5. But there are many ways in calculators to find the solution of this equation. I can use the equation solver, 243, write alpha calc equal sign and 3 raised to the power negative x. How to write x in a calculator? Press alpha and bracket close, it writes alpha x. Then shift solve. The calculator will take an initial guess, ignore it. You need to press equal sign. The calculator solved the equation, and calculator gave you negative 5. Another thing which you can use, there is a log function here in a calculator, log. It was 243, so write 243 as an argument of a log, and the base which number was having a power minus x 3. So write 3 over here. Again, we get 5. So 5 is equal to minus x, and then x is equal to minus 5. So you can use the log function, or you can use equation solver, or the manual way by writing 343 as a power of 3. We can easily solve that question. We completed 3 questions. I think you guys had some understanding developed. Now, the rest of the questions I will share with you solved. And if you find any problem, then please let me know. But this video, inshallah, will serve the purpose and you will understand it very well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.